All right, so I'm here with.
Fernanda.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm an arts worker, so I work for an arts and culture festival as a community engagement manager.
What's a day in the life look like doing that?
It's a lot of admin work. It's a lot of being online, being available, writing social media posts, coming up with ideas to engage with people. A lot of really fun like arts and culture stuff. I work from home, so that's nice. Sometimes I get to work from like a coffee shop with friends, like today.
That's pretty convenient. That's cool. And how much do you make doing that?
40K a year.
Do you live downtown Toronto?
I do.
How do you find like living off of that kind of salary? Are you sustaining yourself well, or how's it going?
I mean, yes, but it's tricky. Like it's expensive to live in the city. I have a roommate, so we split rent and then we split groceries and stuff. So in that sense, it's okay. But yeah, if I were to do it on my own, I would not be able to pay for an apartment on my own.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
That's a good question. I love to work in the arts. I love being able to promote the work for arts and culture and the importance in like community building and the well-being of people. And so promoting that on an everyday basis just solidifies that arts and culture are important and are needed in communities. And I love being able to do that for part of my work.
All right, so I'm here with
Ralph.
Catherine.
And what do you guys do for a living?
We're retired. We're world travelers.
Both retired.
World traveler?
World travelers.
What were you doing before you became world travelers?
Accountant.
Actuary.
What was a day in the life like when you were accountants versus now?
Now is a lot less stressful.
Yep. I get up just as early, but I don't work as hard.
Okay, how much were you guys making when you were working as accountants and actuaries?
6 figures.
Yeah.
Mid six figures or high six figures?
Mid.
What's your favorite part about retirement?
Travel.
What's your favorite place that you've been to?
Friends.
Italy.
What advice would you give to young people starting their career?
I would either tell them to stay in school as long as they can, or take up a trade, out of high school or something, and they'll be very well off.
And what about you?
Yeah. I would say as much schooling as possible, for sure.
Why as much schooling as possible?
Well, I think it opens up doors that you would not normally, that would not open up to you.
Yeah. And it broadens your mind. It helps you make connections, and everything is useful. You just don't know when and where.
I'm a director of sales at the Delta Hotels by Marriott and the London Armories.
How did you get into that?
I've been in the hospitality industry for over 20 years, so started on a university and in a private family-run resort.
I see. And how much do you make?
Well, the range of my role as a director of sales will range from $50,000 to $150,000. It really depends on the market you're in, the city, and so forth.
What steps did you take to get to the position you're in today?
You have to, I guess, start from the bottom, and a lot of times in the hotel industry, you'll do a gamut of different roles within the hotel. So you work your way up.
What advice would you give to someone that's just about to enter their career and is thinking about doing sales?
For sales in the hospitality industry, you've got to be a people person, and you've got to be willing to come out of your shell and shake hands, meet people, and provide some service.
I'm an articling student.
And what is that for people that don't know?
Like a baby lawyer. Once I'm done, I'll be a lawyer.
That's a good way to put it. And how did you get into this?
I went to law school. I graduated law school. I wrote the bar, passed the bar, and then I'm working.
And why did you decide to become a lawyer?
I went to undergrad and I took a law class and I liked it and I just kind of kept going and here I am.
And how much do you make as an articling student?
$98,000.
And how much are you expecting to make when you finish and you're a grown lawyer?
Depends if I get a job. Expectations are like you start somewhere around 130 and just kind of go up every year depending on if you're a good lawyer or not and where you work.
What kind of lawyer do you want to be?
Corporate.
I know the path that you took incurs a lot of debt. So how much student debt do you have, if you have any?
How much do I have personally? 50,000.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
It's really interesting. You really have to think hard about a lot of things and kind of get analytical and think about the little details and how it might affect people.
I'm a museum curator.
What's a day in the life look like as a museum curator?
So I do a lot of different things. I work with communities. I build relationships of trust so that they can come into the museum and feel respected, that they belong, and then we can make stories and exhibitions and programs together.
And how much do you make doing that?
It depends because I'm also doing a PhD right now, and so I have a fellowship. That plus the curation that I do, it's over 100K.
How did you get into this?
I was actually trained as a lawyer, and I switched to the museum world because there was an opportunity that came up the Canadian government was building a human rights museum here in Canada, and I was actually living in Sweden, and then I moved back to Canada to be part of that project, and then I just ended up working in the museum sector like that.
What's your favorite thing about being a museum curator?
Working with people, working with communities. That's kind of what I love doing. Also traveling, right? Because I do get to travel quite a lot. I work not only in Canada, but I work as well internationally. So I'm working in different parts of the world with different, museum leaders as well.
What advice would you give to someone that's just starting out in their career?
As a curator, I would tell them to try to find what's special about them and what's different, what other people can bring into the job. That's kind of what helped me because, like I said, I was trained as a human rights lawyer. That's not something that you will find in the education that a curator will get. You usually get history or art history. And so finding those skills that make you unique and special is what's going to make you stand out and get you more opportunities.
I'm a chef at Momogar.
How did you get into being a chef?
I started when I was in high school, and I went to culinary school after that in George Brown and fell in love with cooking.
And what's your favorite thing about being a chef?
Just creating good food, man. People inner language, I would say it's by food. So you can start a conversation, and be creative. Like every day I look forward to making something that's going to brighten other people's day,
And how is it going from being just like a line chef to owning your own restaurant?
I've been in the industry for 14 years, worked my way up from commis to commis 3, chef de partie, junior sous, chef de cuisine, finally became executive. I had a little bit of saved up from all that time working as a chef and decided to do something for my own community. So I just did a Tibetan and Nepalese cuisine.
How much are you making now as a restaurant owner?
So we just started our business a couple months ago, so I can't even give you a full detail on that, but estimation would be around $15K per month, just net after all the labor and everything. Yeah.
How does that compare when you were still working as a chef and climbing, so like as a CDC, sous chef, that sort of thing?
The base for chef right now in Canada is probably $60K, but I used to make around $75 with the bonuses and tips and everything was like around $85. But now I think, it's better, but it's a lot of work. Like they said, man, like once you own a business, it's 24/7. You're wearing a lot of hats.
And what advice would you give to someone that is aspiring to be a chef and wants to be an owner one day?
Own your craft, learn the way, you have to build your foundation, has to be super strong. Put your head down and just get the things done. And once you think you're already set up and you're ready to go and open your own business, you know what? Things will come to you. The universe will listen.
I'm retired. I'm an investor.
How did you manage to become retired?
So I started buying U.S. stocks and U.S. real estate in the 90s.
And what were you doing at the time?
At the time I was a student. I started funneling money from co-op, and then when I got jobs, I started funneling money into those two asset classes, U.S. stocks and U.S. real estate.
And why did you choose to do U.S. stocks, even though you're from Canada?
Well, when I was a kid, I remember my parents were really gung-ho when the Canadian dollar was parity with the U.S., and I asked why, and they said the U.S. dollar is really valuable, much more valuable than our currency. So I just got hooked.
What did you initially start buying?
So it was an actively managed fund that invested in U.S. equities. I'm not going to name the company, but I started there, but then I started doing things myself. And I figured if I'm in Canada with Canadian expenses, then having U.S. money would make it easier to live here, and it has.
And how did you make the transition from investing in the stock market to real estate?
So I don't usually pick the asset that I'm investing in. The market tells me. So when the U.S. had their housing crash, it told me that houses were cheap because they were selling for $50 a square foot and less.
So you just kind of read the market and made a call?
Yeah, I look at how much money the asset's going to throw off and how much it's going to cost. If the break-even point for me to get my money back is less than 10 years, I'll take it.
How much are you making now? I know you said you're retired, but you probably have your investments. So how much are those bringing in for you?
So for example, in 2021, I pulled in $1.5 million.
I see. And what tips would you give to people that want to start their investment journey and get like you and become financially free?
That's a good question. So start early, live below your means, and if you want to have a wealthy future, don't focus on selling your time. Focus on buying assets that will produce money that frees up more time. And you just do that over and over and over again, and you'll find that you'll have all the free time in the world.
I'm a graphic designer, so I am here working on a branding and graphic designer agency.
And how did you get started in doing graphic design?
I'm a recent graduated. This is my first job, and I really like it.
And how much do you make doing that?
$2,000.
And what's your favorite thing about being a graphic designer?
You're able to create in every aspect. You are free to create any idea and then to put it into action, and that's what I like.
We're gonna have to.
Did it not record? There you go.
And what do you do for a living, Valentine?
I'm a communication officer in an organization. Sorry.
It's okay, we can redo it. And what does the day in the life look like working at a tea shop?
It's an early start. I come here. I forgot what my answer was. Yeah, it's an early start.
We'll do it. Take three. And how much do you make doing this?
I don't want IRS on me.
IRS? it's CRA, bro. We're in Canada.
I know, but I be in the States a lot.
Oh, okay.
I be on the States a lot.
Yeah. Both agencies are on your.
I don't want. It's because of you. It's because of him, man.
I'm an agent. That's why they put me out here. All right, so I'm here with
Teddy, what happened to your hand, bro? You good?
I'm good. Just minor surgery.
Okay.
How much do you make doing that?
50,000 a year.
And I'm stuck. Oh, God.